Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township for June 20th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, if Craig, you'd like to open us up in prayer.
If you join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this morning, or this day, this beautiful day and weather. Thank you that we can gather here and take care of the business of our township, and that we can recognize you before we do that, and understand that all of our blessings come from you, and that you are the author of government, and that we can lean on you for wisdom and discernment in leading and guiding this township. We just ask that you would be over all the proceedings, and we just thank you for everything that you do for us. And we bring all these things to you in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, at this time we have a public hearing. So as a resolution to establish the Road Improvement Special Assessment District for Bedford Drive. Motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing.
Okay, motion supported by Mr. Steiner. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner? Aye. Mr. Gore is absent. Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning is absent. Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0.
The microphone's on.
George, are the microphones on? Sounds like mine is.
Yeah.
Okay, loud and clear. Okay, at this time, if you'd like to speak to the public hearing in regards to the road assessment, now would be the time to do so. Okay, all right. Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay, Ms. Hirschberger.
So attached, you'll find the resolution and the public hearing notice on the Road Improvement Special Assessment District for Bedford Drive. This public hearing is to approve the district only. This contains 46 parcels, of which 26 have signed, equaling 57%, and that also equals 55% of the land area. This estimated cost of this project will be $441,600, which is approximately $9,600 per parcel. This amount will be approved at our second public hearing. And most of the board members know, but for the public, if we have over 51%, the law states we must approve this special assessment district resolution. So if there's no questions, go ahead.
You mentioned different percentages, so I'm assuming there were some changes since this was posted?
Correct.
Okay, so
We had one removed since that was.
So 57% signed and includes 55% of the area, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have something to say.
The public hearing's closed to the public. So you missed your opportunity to say something. I'm sorry. So, anybody else?
If you want to say something at the regular public comment time, if you just had something you wanted to share, you can. But
yeah, you can still do that.
That hearing is closed.
Well, this was my first hearing, and I didn't understand. It was my first rodeo, and I didn't understand, I guess. Okay. It's really not okay, actually.
Okay.
It's not okay.
All right. Okay, go ahead. You gotta have to come up to the microphone.
Do you want me to come up to the
Yep, you have to. Yep. Just state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Libby Kazarowski. I live at 1421 Bedford Drive. From what I understand, the improvements were explained completely different than what they are. My husband would have came and taken his name off, but he was out of town. He signed apparently because I don't know who the person was that went through the neighborhood and presented this. But I'm not on board with this. It wasn't explained correctly. And I think as far as, this is my first time here too. So you guys kind of went through, is there any public opinion or discussions real fast? You didn't explain what's going on. I think it's unfair for us that live on this street to not have an opportunity to have this explained correctly and have our signatures retracted. That's a lot of money for us to spend for the next 15 years. I don't even use Bedford Drive because I live on the corner and I take the subdivision. But this isn't the way this should be. We're all here because obviously everyone here is not on board with this. So we should be given the opportunity to discuss it. You guys just went through that so fast. I've never been here either. I didn't even understand what you were saying. So that's not fair to us.
I'm giving you opportunities, whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
I am saying it.
Okay.
I disagree. I want my name off of the petition, and I think everyone here, how many people here are against this?
Ma'am, you have to address the board.
How do I do that?
You just keep talking to us.
So I address you and then you're going to address them? Okay. Like I said, I'm brand new at this.
Yeah, it's okay. You're fine.
But I think it was presented to us inaccurately. So at this point, what are our options?
Okay. Just comment and then we'll answer your questions.
Okay, what are my options right now?
We're not going to go back and forth. We're going to let the public speak and then we'll answer your questions the best we can, okay?
After everyone speaks.
After everybody speaks.
Okay, anyone else want to speak? I think it's wrong the way it was presented. I don't know if it was not understood by the person that was bringing it to our houses, but we should have more than one chance to change our mind on something.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? I guess you don't have a choice. Trudy, are you going to explain everything?
I think what happened was there are some of us in the
Name and address, and you just speak into the mic.
There are some of us in the neighborhood that when the petition was presented to us, we did not realize that that was a yes vote when we signed it, and we thought that there would be another vote coming through the mail to actually vote. We did not know that the way it was presented, that was a yes vote. And what happened is there are people in our neighborhood that did not come in and cross their names off because they were working and other commitments. They did not come into the township. And I think it should have been a mail, sent in the mail, an actual regular vote for each parcel. Mm-hmm. I just think it was done kind of incorrectly, and it wasn't very clear to people. I never would have signed it had I known it was a vote.
Can I name and address?
Name and address, please, ma'am.
1413 Bedford Drive, Temperance, Michigan.
Your name, please.
Karen Welch.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to let Ms. Hirschberger. Does anybody else want to speak? Okay.
Catherine Gerst, 1065 Bedford Drive. I'm against this too.
Can you pull the mic up so you can speak?
Okay. It's a little bit more than I can afford, and I want to know why the township is making all the homeowners pay for the resurfacing of this road when all the subdivisions around us have been built. You brought down you allowed the heavy equipment to bring
concrete, the building materials to build all the new subdivisions around. Why do we have to fund the whole bill? Why can't you chip in? This has been years and years and years of building subdivisions in, and everybody's access to the subdivisions was right down Bedford Drive. Why should I be paying for all the deterioration because of all the new subdivisions? I think you guys should chip in for this, because this is not all that deterioration is not from all the people who live on that street. It's from the subdivisions that have been developed when Mr. Zeiler sold all his property, his farm property, and you let them come and bring their stuff in, and it deteriorated our street. And it's made it worse and worse and worse. Thank God all the subdivisions are done now. And now we have to live with this road that is so bad to drive down. I bet you guys never drove down it, did you? You have? Okay. Well, then you know how bad it has gotten over the years from all the brand new subdivisions that they've built around us. And used our road and Sarah to access those new subdivisions. So I was not allowed to come to the first meeting because I was at work. And so I'm here pleading, don't make this such a expensive project for us homeowners who we did not destroy our Bedford Drive. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
My name is April Kipp. I live at 1095 Bedford Drive. I, too, oppose it. I'm kind of curious why we could not go for, like, the Deer Creek subdivision. They said a health, safety, welfare is why they fixed those roads. Why we couldn't do that, and why you guys can pay for a roundabout, $175,000, but yet can't help with us on our road.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. All right. So Trudy oversees the special assessment district. She facilitates them. Okay, the township is just a facilitator. So Trudy leads that charge, and so I'm going to let her explain a lot of the questions that were asked because I'm not a part of the process. The board members aren't. Trudy is. So go ahead.
So I'm going to try and remember all the questions. I wrote most of them down. We had an informal meeting where I invited everyone to come and get the information. Brad Bice from Mannequin Smith is here in the audience if the board wants to know what was presented. Then we presented the costs, and all that information was mailed out to each resident. And the information, the fact that you could come in and remove your name was on that letter. So people were coming in and taking their names off. People were coming in and adding their names. At this point, though, we do have a sufficient petition. Out of the 4 that spoke, only 1 is actually still signed on. If we removed your name, it would still be a good petition. We would still have 54% without yours on it, just so you know. Okay. Okay.
Hey, ma'am.
I'm just letting you know. So it would still be good even if her name wasn't on. The other 3 did come in and remove theirs, so they are removed off of it. Mail vote. We have never done a mail vote. And I guess if you consider all the letters and the information I've sent out to you, you could consider that a mail vote. You just can't vote it and bring it back in. You would have to physically come in. If there's more than 1 person on the deed, it only takes 1 to take it off. It takes all to add it. So it's very simple to take your name off. I guess I can't comment on it was misrepresented what the actual work was because we presented that at the informational meeting. I don't know what he said when he was going around, but the informational meeting and that information was mailed to everyone, so everyone knew what was going to happen, the cost of it, the time frame that they had to add or take their name off. That was all mailed out. Everyone did receive something like that. The informational meeting, those I do as a courtesy. I don't have to do those. It could go right to this after I get a good petition. I don't think that's fair. So therefore, I go out of my way for an informational meeting to try and present as many people as I can with as much information as I can at that time. As far as the roads, we don't own the roads. Monroe County Road Commission owns the roads, so we don't have a say over who pays and who doesn't. They are the final say. When this goes through, they will be the ones to bid the project out. They will be the ones to oversee the project. Again, we are just the facilitator because the residents cannot sign a contract with the county. So we are the middleman trying to help. I can tell you that if this goes through, the township will pay to maintain that road. We will do the crack seal when it's needed to keep that maintained. After you put all that money into it, that's the least we can do is try and keep it from falling apart. Let's see, why is township making
Look at
a
Sarah Drive.
project?
They're taking good care of that.
Well,
So-
keep in mind, we're not going to do a back and forth, but I'm going to answer the question that you had. The township doesn't maintain any subdivision road other than one, and that's the subdivision that's in the Downtown Development Authority, where there's a tax capture. The subdivision behind the old food town and the liquor cabinet and that area, we maintain one subdivision, and that's because it's in a tax captured area. Other than that, the township doesn't maintain one subdivision road, other than dirt roads. We facilitate by putting chloride down to keep the dust down because it's a health hazard. That's it. The road commission, the only thing the road commission does is potholes. Outside of that, they don't do anything. That's why you guys have only seen potholes done on your road for the last 30 years. That's the only thing they do. So the township in the last 5 years came up with a program to where when you pull the SAD and you get the work done, we'll help buy crack seals. If you don't crack seal your road, they deteriorate very fast. So that's the program we come up with. But as far as us fixing roads, we don't. The only thing we do is facilitate the road commission and our local and primary road system.
I don't know, Brad, did you want to add anything?
No, I think, I'm Brad Weiss from Anakin Smith. We're township engineers. We were engaged by the township on this project to do a preliminary cost estimate to do a road repair. What we are proposing to do is a crush and shape of the road. So I know somebody mentioned that it was misrepresented. I can't speak to any of that. I know at the informational meeting, we provided handouts, gave a presentation to inform the residents, did show up, of what the plan moving forward was going to be on the road, which is a crush and shape, which basically grinds up, pulverizes the existing material, and then put a new asphalt cap on it. So not really much more in depth than that at this point, but that's really the gist of the project. So
You've been down there, right?
yes.
Well, there's like 550, 200-foot sections that are bad. Why can't they just fix them sections? Grind them out, pave over them a couple inches, and the road would be great again for another 20 years.
Can't hear.
Why do we gotta do the whole road?
Okay, all right. The audience can't speak, guys. I got to gain control.
What are we here for, Paul?
The whole process started with Trudy through the whole process. There's 3 different times your names can be pulled off. There's informational meetings. Keep in mind, we don't care if you fix your road or not. And I'm just being honest with you. Because it's not our responsibility to fix it. So we facilitate the process. That's it. We're not like trying to persuade individuals to sign it or not sign it, because it's the individuals that come to us, they sign a petition and they try to get it done. So that's all we do is facilitate. All right, we're gonna move forward here. Okay, any more comments? Thank you, Brad. Any more comments from anybody on the board? Okay. All right, I look for a motion. We're not taking any more questions. We're done. Any more comments?
No.
Okay, I look for a motion.
Well, with the law stating if we have enough, we have to move forward with it. I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution to establish the Bedford Drive Public Road Maintenance District as presented.
Judy, I'll second with a friendly amendment. Mm-hmm. You did state it, but make it very clear that your motion is based on law, that you
Correct.
have to do this and facilitate it.
Yes. Okay.
So also we are as facilitator,
Correct?
so.
There's also something called
Okay.
compassion and understanding. Don't use my dumpster again either.
Okay. All right, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 5-0. Okay, moving on to B, adoption of the Bedford Township Park and Recreational Master Plan. A motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing for the Recreation Master Plan.
Support.
Okay, motion and support, Ms. Januzak. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay, anybody like to speak at the master plan from the public?
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. At the last park board meeting, the majority, but not all, voted in favor of the plan with noted changes before you tonight. I've been told it is merely a vision and not binding upon any future park boards, like our zoning laws. I took the survey and I attended meetings, and along with witnessing many changes over the 50-some years I've lived here, the vision is great, but there are areas of concern. Completion of the fence and car park lies on someone else's back. Due to the poor design covered under the TAP grant on Lewis, it was torn down and then only partially put up. Maybe M&S can pick up the tab for that project. Number 2, the inclusive playground is planned as a playscape on a hill. Better at some area, allowing a playscape of this style on each end of the township. Lack of public support for a millage. We need to get a full support from the grant writing committee and perhaps establish a friend of the parks committee made up of residents. We need to they sell the features of our parks in order to maintain them. While good, it creates restrictions in public use. We need to sell the pocket parks. The reasons to keep have changed. Must consolidate our resources, take the money and buy larger areas that serve best as parks and green spaces versus other uses. The Ohio Metro Parks get donations of 500 plus acres to preserve their green space. Compare, say, Centennial Park and the property at Smith and Summerfield, which would be better as a park. Most concerning is the name change. Per this document, which was not endorsed by the duly elected park board, it is clearly noted within this document that Parks and Rec are a separate entity as they should be. The school oversees the activities in the parks and should remain so. In fact, the park board should stop paying the schools to use the parks. Who authorized this name change? I have been informed prior to this meeting that it really is not a name change. This is the way the monies are handled, and it's directed by the state. So if they are to be a department, like all others, the park board should have an office with staff, and they should dictate over that office and budget. We need a park board so there is some type of checks and balances, and just because Sylvania and Toledo may use this setup doesn't mean we have to. Last but not least, all of this is a moot point. As long as the township board continues to oppose and attack and obstruct the members of the park board and their efforts for whatever reasons, and despite these attacks, the members of the park board need to drop the attitudes which obstruct the formation of a good relationship for all involved. We've had wonderful parks in the past. We've earned awards. This is apparent to all residents, proven most relevant by a comment made by the supervisor at a DDA meeting where he literally cited that the gem of Bedford Township is the intersection of Stearns and Secor. Not a park, not nothing else, but a congested, noisy, blighted, overly lit, and smelly intersection. What needs to happen? Approve the master plan. But there must be some changes made at all levels. And if the public wants decent parks, then the public also has a role to play and making sure that these changes take place. Thank you.
Okay, any more comments? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Januzak. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay. Ms. Hirschberger?
Does Lucy, you want to speak on this?
Or Lucy?
Thank you. My name is Lucy Fortin. I'm with Manick and Smith Group, and I have the pleasure to come before you. And this has been over maybe 6 years ago that I did the other Parks and Recreation Master Plan for Bedford Township. So it's a pleasure to do this again. I do have a brief presentation. I'm going to try to flip through some pictures, wonderful pictures that were taken by You Hire the Professional. They're beautiful pictures of your parks. And so if I could, if I have the time, I would like to do that. It's strictly to highlight, whoops, I went to the wrong one. I apologize. All right. So the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, this is something that is state mandated, and you referred to that in your comment. And it is something that you need to do every 5 years. It articulates a vision for the system, for all the community parks of the township. It doesn't really address the pocket parks, but it does take into account that they are there. So beyond that, it is also a guide for the Parks Commission to see to the development of the parks for the next 5 years. It needs to meet state standards, and for that, it needs to go through a certain process and include certain components. And you see there, this is what that slide wants to highlight, the process that the Park Commission went through. And we have the chair here tonight, Carol Laurie, who's sitting in the audience. It's a process, a three-step approach. It's taking a look at what you have, asking people what they want, and then how do we get these suggested improvements implemented. So these, where you see those bullet points, those are the components that need to be included and per the guidelines of the DNR, which there's a little picture there to the right. So we did go through the needs assessment process through a pretty extensive online survey that was on the website and available through the website for about 3 months. And we received an astounding, in my opinion, 350 responses, although some people differ as to whether they're satisfied with that number. This is great. This was better than before. We also had at least 3 meetings at the Park Commission to discuss and talk about the master plan. And after that, after taking a look at all that, we came up with 4 goals and objectives that are pretty much the same as what they were before. It's taking care of what you have first, then thinking about adding some amenities that respond to changing recreation needs of residents. Then your connectivity, and I think you have tried to do that as we speak in coming up with walkways and pathways that would be township-wide. So doing that, combining this effort with Planning Commission and with the Parks Commission is probably a good thing to do. And of course, the administration of parks. As far as the action program, and I'm going to go rather quickly, I think it's in detail in the document that you have had a chance to look at and in your packet. And those include, certain actions to take at all your parks, as well as actions at each of your parks. And so if we look at Cars Grove, I think the Parks Commission is looking at replacing those tennis courts for pickleball courts. I'm just highlighting one of the action that's recommended for each of the park. At Parmalee, I think we have several actions there, but renovating picnic shelter and upgrading the playground is certainly something that is desired. Samaria, I've heard of a parking lot, drainage issues in the parking lot, wanting to expand the parking lot is certainly something that's on top of the list. White Park, of course, we have this inclusive playground we'd like to implement there, and you have a Spark grant that you are applying for to address that, and hopefully you get it. So I'm very hopeful that you will. Ansted, I think in general, both Ansted and Wheeler Preserve are your nature parks, and we're trying to add native plants, add pathways, and make it more welcoming that way. And Wheeler Preserve certainly is a beautiful park. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, I think this is something that, it's a gem. It's a total gem. It's got this prairie that's really beautiful and native to this particular region of the state, of the region, really. And so getting rid of the invasive species and adding some native plants is really the goal here, keeping it a nature preserve. And that system of connected pathways, this is an old map, the concept that was part of the earlier master plan has been updated for other things, but really talks about ways that you could connect your community facilities. This is the end of the presentation. I just wanted to highlight a few things. And the adoption tonight is really the end of the public process with the public hearing. So you're asked to actually adopt the master plan at this point, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay.
Basically, a lot of hard work. We'll see,
Fantastic.
you working with the park board. I mean, look at the size of the packet. That's a good size undertaking, and I know that a lot of hard work went into it. And it's not something we just thrown together ad hoc. So, very good job to you and the park board, and anybody else that participated in this. Again, this is not set in stone. This is a plan, and it's how we look to go forward. And who knows, a year from now, that plan may change and adjust a little bit, but we've got a direction to start. So, good job.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a
All right.
question real quick. Lucy, when we approve this, will the two areas that we've been talking to you about with the cemetery, will those be changed?
Yes, there were. I mean, I removed the cemetery from the Ansted property, and there was another property boundary change at Parmalee, and I did that as well.
Okay. So these 2 pages will get changed from what we currently have that show the cemetery enclosed in the park.
I removed that from the property boundary at Ansted. Is that what you're asking?
Right, and
Yes.
said, there's 2 pages. On ours that we have, it still shows it as part of the park.
Does
So
it?
I wanted to
Okay.
ask.
All right. I didn't. I see. Okay. I did
Just
update
wanted to
that.
make sure it was
I
fixed.
did. And if you want to look at it before we've completely finalized it, I can certainly do that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Look for a motion.
Did the park board members want to say?
Do any park board members want to say something? Anything? Good. Okay. All right. All right. I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the Bedford Township Park and Rec Master Plan as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion in support of Mr. Steiner. Any more discussion? Okay. Just call the roll, please.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. The motion passed 5-0. Okay. Item 2 is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve agenda.
Support.
Okay. Motion in support of Ms. Janazek. Any discussion? Okay. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay. Item 3, the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file minutes from the June 6, 2023 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board, general savings, pooled funds, and CD reports from the treasurer for May 2023, and the balance sheet and revenue expense report for the period ending May 31st, 2023.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Ms. Janazek. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay, item 4 is the Monroe County Sheriff's update. Appreciate you being here.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Jeff Pauley, Undersheriff. So we're still getting used to the new report, the new monthly report. And I had some questions about the calls for service versus the written case report. So I just kind of wanted to clear something up with that. First of all, we did handle 789 calls for service. That does include the self-initiated field activity, which includes traffic stops and property checks. If you, for a property check, a lot of times that's getting out, shaking a door on a business, or going to a home where someone's maybe on vacation for a couple of weeks. They just want the police to check their home. So if you get a business card that says that the sheriff's office visited your home as a property check, that's what that is. So 789 calls for service is what we did for the month of May. Actually, I should note that. But if you go to the next report where it says Bedford Township written case reports, it's 136. So what that means is out of the 789 calls for service, those were labeled by Central Dispatch as a call for service came in from a citizen. And the written case reports, the deputy had went out, conducted an investigation, and determined that either A, was a crime, or B, was not a crime, or C, maybe it wasn't a crime, but it just needed to be written down, kind of like a civil matter or something like that. So that's the difference. So basically, the calls for service is what dispatch receives, which is sometimes limited information. They generalize the code, and then the deputy, after the investigation, narrows it down or focuses it to what it actually is. So hopefully that clears up any confusion, and I'm not saying any of you had confusion, but I did have a couple citizens ask me about that. So that is that. We made a total of 7 in-custody arrests. We do not have on the report the number of warrants that we requested, and I can't remember off the top of my head if our new report system generates that, but I'll have to look into that for next month. The next thing is the out-of-contract report. I'm actually very pleased that there's only 4 hours of out-of-contract time. And I did break it down for you so the citizens and of course, you as the board know why the deputies that you're paying for is going out of the contracted area. On 5/10, there was a threats complaint in Bedford Township where one subject threatened to respond to a particular location on US 223 and shoot another person with a gun. So pretty serious. I'm sure most of you can understand that. The Bedford contract, one of the Bedford contract deputies was dispatched as a backup officer, and it did kind of assist at that scene while the investigation took place. Thankfully, nothing happened, but obviously I think certainly justified in moving that person out of the contracted area. On 5/12, we received a report of a suspicious situation of a man walking on gated commercial property. He was armed with a rifle. Again, very, very suspicious in nature because that particular piece of property did not have armed security. There was no hunting allowed. It was gated. There really, by appearance, shouldn't have been somebody on the property. The deputies went there and were unable to locate the person, but again, thankfully that resolved itself. And then on 5/24, I kind of got a little chuckle because if you read the report or the out-of-contract report, it says PIA of a Brinks money truck with $3.3 million on the roadway. So for those that you don't know, a PIA is an abbreviation for a personal injury accident. So and I got a chuckle out of it because to me it reads like $3.3 million was actually physically on the roadway. While I wasn't there and I don't know for sure, I highly doubt that it was actually on the roadway. But I think you can understand, having that amount of money in a Brinks truck that was turned over, flipped over, did cause for some extra security. concerns, and getting a big heavy truck like that off Telegraph Road is a little difficult. That was in Erie Township. So the Bedford deputy was out there for 2.5 hours. I'm not exactly sure why it took that long, but sometimes those things happen when you got a call for wreckers, or you might have to, get a heavy duty wrecker to come out. So, so that is that. I didn't know if you had any questions about the report. I'll certainly take any questions.
Mr. Steiner?
I just noticed, a few of the items, a little bit of an uptick, like trouble with some suspects, trespassing, things like that. Do you see that as sort of common with the time of year we're in, getting into warmer weather, and people sort of get out there and?
100%. I've been doing, 20, a lot of years. And I don't see from my first year of service to today, I really don't see a major difference in the calls for service, the nature, the timing. It's just, sometimes, we might have, 10 of this one month, and the next month it might be one. It just might be an anomaly. So I would definitely say, though, weather dependent. People are outside, maybe drinking a little more, causing a little ruckus. So, yeah.
Just looked like those numbers were a little uptick. So that's all.
Okay. Appreciate you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
And I did want to address a couple of other things. The LPRs, I'm not sure how much, that's the license plate reader, for those that don't know. There's an agreement in place, and I believe it is currently Mr. Basonic with the county CFO. He will be signing the contract shortly for the county to purchase the LPRs, and I believe there's going to be some kind of reimbursement from the DDA. And I can't speak 100% on that, but I do know that there's going to be some kind of reimbursement. And the reason the county and or the sheriff's office are going to be considered I don't want to say owner of the system, but I guess the facilitator or the manager of that system is because only law enforcement can see the data that those license plate readers grab. So that might be your license plate, your photograph in a car. That's not for public consumption, for good reason. It's to protect people's personal data. Now, a lot of people maybe have some concerns about maybe some Big Brother issues, and I'm here to tell you that's not the case at all with the license plate reader. What the license plate reader does is it captures the license plate or images, including the car and potentially the driver of the car going through. And in this case, it's going to be one on each intersection of Stearns and Secor. So it's going to capture the license plate, the vehicle, if you will, and it's going to maintain that data. We're not looking at that data unless we have to. I mean, I can't pay someone, and I'm not going to pay somebody to sit at a desk and just look and see, if Paul Peroni was driving through the intersection. That is not what that's designed for. And I can tell you the sheriff is very protective of that. And no deputy would do that anyway. But what that does is, say there was a crime committed, in a Kroger parking lot, and the person drives southbound, into Toledo, and it's Ohio license plate. Great, we've now got that license plate. So let's say we get a vague description of the license plate, ending in 123. So what the license plate reader does, and that happens a lot, by the way. Crimes are committed, witnesses very much see limited information at times, and so we have to sift through that and try to determine. In this particular scenario that I'm providing, is if the car goes southbound through the intersection and the license plate reader gets the license plate, we can then know who that is, or that driver. At least it's a lead potentially to who's the person that committed whatever crime it was. It could be something very minor, like a simple theft, or it could be something really major, like a child abduction attempt, or maybe somebody runs somebody over with a car and tried to flee. So it's a tool. It will not be abused. I can assure you of that. And we think it's a responsible expense of public dollars for this. So we're very thankful that you guys are doing this. So that contract is going to get signed here shortly, and we're going to move forward with purchasing it. One final thing too is once we're in this system with Flock, if another agency, let's say somewhere in New York that has the same system, that they're looking for this license plate ABC123, let's say they're involved in an abduction to some level, that rolls through our intersection, it will alert us, and then we can dispatch, cars, immediately to that area. Maybe they're, pulling and getting gas or something. So that is a huge benefit of that program. So we're really excited about it, but I just wanted to alleviate any concerns about any Big Brother issues. That is not what's going on here. I can assure you of that, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything to that regard.
Anybody have any questions, anything? Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Up next is public comment. Comments limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items only, and just state the agenda item you'll be speaking on.
My name is Michaela Myers, and I would like to speak on the Bedford Drive. Most of us do not want the road to be changed. I had a question. Since I have 2 lots and I did not vote and I have to pay twice for both lots, I would hope that I would also get to say no twice for getting the road changed, if that makes sense. That's my question.
We'll answer it at the end of the meeting.
Okay. I guess that's it for now.
Okay. Any more comments from the public? Come on.
My name is Corey Clevenger, 7604 Wildfire. I'm just a baseball dad, and we play at Carr Park, and I believe that's on the agenda. We have raised $4,000, and we've redone the infield, and we're just asking some help for the outfield. Past the infield, it's all gravel and weeds, and if we could kind of remove that and put dirt in there. We have 4 teams on there, 44 kids total, and I think with all the up-and-coming kids in these neighborhoods, they're blooming, and we would just love to continue Black Ops and hold Card Park and just make it a presentable baseball diamond for kids to just learn the game of baseball, keep them outdoors, and just teach them the game. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Moving on to new business, 8A, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hirschberger.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $99,460.78. Fire District Fund, $35,321.51. Fire Equipment Fund, $1,403.32. Downtown Development Authority, $404.19. Library Operating Fund, $11,847.95. American Rescue Plan, $3,226.75. Transit System, $90. DDA Construction, $6,951.43. Building Department, $310.57. Sewer O&M Fund, $2,533.77. Trust and Agency Fund, $244, for a grand total of $161,794.27.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Januzak. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Januzak?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay, 8B, approval bid for janitorial cleaning service at the Bedford Branch Library. Would you like to speak on this now?
I am Jody Russ from the Bedford Branch Library. I thought Dee Ellsworth was going to be here tonight. She must have had something come up at the last minute, so I'm going to speak a little bit on behalf of the Library Advisory Board. Our current janitorial cleaning service is the same service that we've had cleaning the library for 32 years, which means all variations of the Bedford Library since it was built. They are retiring as of June 30th, and so that's why we kind of were pressed for time to get this bid proposal to you guys for approval for the new cleaning service. We knew that the costs of this were going to go up tremendously, which you see in the information that I sent over to you. I will say there's a slight adjustment. The recommendation from the Library Advisory Board is to accept the bid from R&J Cleaning Services, Inc., which is out of Monroe, Michigan. They are the only local-ish candidate that we had. The other service that gave us a bid is actually listed as a auto detailing service out of Detroit. And I could find no information anywhere that they provide cleaning services to businesses. So if they do, they never did a walkthrough of the building or didn't make a connection in any way for me to know that they were a subcontractor for one of the companies that did do a walkthrough. So that's part of why the Library Advisory Board felt that R&J, both being the local company and the other bid that we got being kind of an unknown, that's why they made the recommendation that they did. In addition, we don't have time to wait because our current cleaners are going to be done in a couple weeks, 10 days. So, I mean, the building has to stay clean. So that's one of the issues as well. I will say, though, that R&J contacted me and told me that their bid, the person who is supposed to do the quotes was on vacation when that got submitted, and it was the owner of the company that submitted it to me. And he had checked the box that said that they would be providing all the paper products, toilet paper, roll towels, that kind of thing. And that's not the case because we're going to continue to buy those through Quill with your guys' contract for Quill. So the price from R&J is actually lowered quite a bit. The total amount per month will now be $3,870. So that's $400. I can't do math that fast in my head. $417.46 less. Does that sound right? Did I do that math right? I'm a librarian, not a math person. Good, thanks. And so that's going to increase the overall costs approximately. I did a little breakdown on the memo that I sent over. So yes, our janitorial services would increase by about $16,440 per year, but our operating supplies will decrease because we wouldn't be buying all the chemicals that they use to clean the library with. The company will provide that as part of the price that they gave us. And then also our maintenance costs will likely decrease because right now the township's funds have been purchasing all the vacuum cleaners that the cleaners use and repairing those and buying the bags for those and buying new mops and all that kind of stuff that is all part of the both operating supplies and maintenance. It kind of gets broken up in those two funds depending, or those two line items, depending on where they fall. So we do anticipate that the overall increase in cost is going to be approximately $14,240 per year. I will say the current cleaning people have been barely making minimum wage all this time, and if any of you folks pay to have your house cleaned by a professional, you know that they make a lot more than minimum wage. So, and they should. And this includes cleaning the library 6 nights per week. We are open 7 days per week. If you weren't already aware, we're staying open on Sundays now, even in the summer. So we are open 69 hours total per week. And this covers partial cleanings, mopping floors, emptying garbage, cleaning bathrooms, all 6 nights. But then 3 of the nights of the week, they do all the vacuuming in the whole building and various other dusting and various other activities too.
When did you guys find out they'd be retiring?
She gave me that in May. I'm not positive the date.
So she gave you a couple months.
Yeah, it was about 6 weeks probably.
Okay. Yeah, because it does put us in pickle tonight too.
Right.
You know, if we decide to table it and go a different route, I mean,
right.
Is she willing to extend her services at all?
I didn't ask that question. The Library Advisory Board actually suggested we ask that because, or some members of the board did, strictly because we only got 2 bids. I had 3 cleaning companies do walkthroughs and only one of those provided a bid. So I don't know what happened with the other 2 and why we didn't receive one from the other 2 companies. And so the Library Advisory Board did consider holding on and asking if our cleaning crew would be willing to stay a little bit longer. And several of the members spoke up, and this is why I wish Dee were here tonight, because she would remember the details of this, but spoke up and said that they didn't feel that that would be fair to the cleaning people to ask them to stay on longer at the same rate, knowing full well now this is public knowledge how much new companies are asking to be paid. So
So all of,
they decided to make the recommendation. That's all. That's pretty much what.
was it looked into to hire a part-time person?
No.
I mean, almost full-time with the amount you're going to be paying a year.
All we did was bid it out. I mean, the current people right now, they have 6 people who come in the 3 nights per week that they do the full building, and then they have 2 people that come in the other 3 nights. So
Is this typical, everything that's done in our library, around all library systems? As I just noticed some things, cleaning the break rooms for the employees, and, you know, there's some things on there that I'm seeing that I'm
this
like.
doesn't clean all it does is sweep and mop the floor in the break room, and that's it. We're responsible for the rest of the break room.
Okay.
But I mean, to me, that's
That was just one of
pennies.
them.
It's-
I noticed,
right.
I noticed quite a few things that I, would question a little bit, but that we're doing. I mean, yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot,
Your
but it's
list
a
is
it's a
extensive.
public building that has 100 to 200 people every single day. So I guess you want it to be clean. I would assume you would want it to be clean. The rest of the communities, to answer that question, I mean, every community is responsible for its own library building, and they all make their own. All of the townships make their, or villages, communities, whatever it is, make their own.
I know, but did we look into what they do? I mean, who they use, or, do they have an employee, or are they cleaning 6 days a week?
Well, none of them would be cleaning 6 days a week because none of our libraries are open as many hours as Bedford is. Bedford's open more hours than any other branch anywhere. The only one that comes close is the Ellis Building, and the Ellis Building is owned by the library system. So the library system does take care of that one because that's who owns the building.
Yeah.
And
Do you know
they're
what they're
open
cleaning?
62 hours, I believe.
Do they clean roughly the same as what you guys, the Ellis Building?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They have more public restrooms too, so it probably actually costs them more money.
Yeah.
They have public restrooms everywhere there, so.
Anybody have any questions? Personally, I wish we had more time because I would like to put it out locally. I didn't even know this was out for bid. I didn't see it online. I'm sure it was, but I'm just saying
It was online, and Al and I both made concerted effort to get phone calls and to send information out to
I'm
both
not
Monroe
saying that
and
you
Toledo
didn't. I'm
people.
just saying, I would have liked to,
We had a
I don't know.
couple of local people too that do cleaning that I had sent all the information to, and I never heard anything back from them, so there's that as well. I don't know if there's too much work and not enough people. I mean, not necessarily this particular job, but too much work in general and not enough people to get it done.
what was the term of the contract again?
1 year, both parties would have, for the R&J, you mean?
Yeah.
It was 1 year with a renewable for another year, and at the end of that year, and both parties have a 30-day put in writing if you're not satisfied, and cancel the contract at any time during that period.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I don't know about question. I have to think that there's a better route, is just what I would assume, but I don't know. Whether, like, something closer to what we were already doing there, I would assume would be a better route, at least from a financial standpoint. But I don't know. I also don't know what would be if this is adjustment, what are, from a contract standpoint of what we're approving, what are we approving? Like, what would the amount be?
Was,
This is,
$3,870 a month.
okay, it's this page, I'm sorry. Okay. A month.
Which is $46,440 per year.
Some of those are six days per week service, right? Certain things?
Correct, yes. The current cleaners do exactly the same thing that's on that bid. I took the cleaning that the current people do, and I put that in the bid packet for people to bid on. So 3 days per week, they clean all the hard floors, empty the garbage, and clean all the bathrooms. And then the other 3 days per week, they do those things too, plus they do all of the vacuuming, and then I wish I could speak in detail. I have the bid pack right here, but those 3 nights that they do the full cleaning, they also clean off all the tables, they clean off the children's furnishings in the programming room, and then they zone out the building for dusting. So things like, we have the wood mini blinds, so like they do all of the nonfiction area of dusting the tops of the shelves. They don't do all the shelves. We have volunteer kids who do that for us. But they dust the top, and then they clean windowsills and that kind of stuff, and all of the blinds zoned out on different nights. So they don't do all of that every night or every week even. They do that throughout a month. They will dust all the surfaces in the building.
I think the tough thing that they have here is it's a night job.
Right.
It's not your typical, day job. Most people don't want to work a night shift.
And if you break this down, it's just under $150 a day if you want to use all 6 days for 100% of all services. So you're looking at just under $150 a day on a 52-week basis. Like you said, it's not a ton of money. Obviously.
And I mean, technically, nickel and dime it a bit, technically, that won't be exactly the cost, because they won't come and clean on holidays that were closed, for instance.
Right.
So there will be some variations of that, but that's not a lot. That's about 1 day a month, generally speaking.
Yeah, it is too bad. Like you said, now the part, if you want to go back and even to ask them to stay longer, and they know what kind of numbers are out there, that makes it difficult.
Yeah, and I don't know, I guess from a personal standpoint, would you want to work somewhere for 32 years and then get asked to stay, hey, can you hold out a little bit? I mean, maybe they're going to Greece the day after they retire, like one of the teachers I just
Stayed
talked
somewhere
to,
for
right?
32 years, I'd give more than a month. I'd give a little heads up, is my response to that.
Well, and to be honest with you, we didn't force them to stay here for 32 years either.
Yeah, I totally get it. I just feel like it's...
just like Cookie cleans this building, and she's done it for how many years? So.
And honestly, I think if I asked them to stay because they have been good to us for this long, they probably would, but the Library Advisory Board didn't feel comfortable with that, which is why they made this recommendation. I think they also feel like they're not really going to get much of a better price, no matter how hard they try to get additional quotes. I think they feel like the price is going to be high no matter what. So that was kind of why they made the recommendation that they did.
I don't know if this is a question for Tom. How locked into this would we be if we decided to go forward with this, and we can, with some time, can figure out a better option? I'm just looking at it from a contract standpoint. I don't see something that says what we're locked into, so I was just curious. Go ahead.
Well, it's a 1-year term, it looks like, with an automatic rollover for another year. And then it has a third, sorry. So it's a 1-year contract with an automatic rollover for a second year, and then it has this 30-day out clause, which it looks to me like either the contractor or the library township could get out of it with 30 days notice. Jody, is that how you read?
That is how that's how I read it in the agreement.
And so,
That's on his bid packet. That's at the bottom of page 2 of 12. It says cancellation. This agreement may be terminated or canceled at any time with a minimum of 30 days written notice from either party.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
So that's a pretty advantageous clause for the township to be able.
It doesn't look like there's a penalty
30 days.
or anything if you have 30 days.
Doesn't look like it. Looks like you can get out with 30
The only
days.
thing, if you
But of course, so can the contract.
Yeah.
The only thing you don't want to do there too is you don't want to hire somebody and then 3 months later come back and say, oh, we found somebody to do it for $5,000, $6,000 less, 90 days later.
Well, if anything, we table it and put it back out there and really push it and see, I just can't imagine only one company would bid on it.
Two.
Two out of
But
every
if
flipping company in the
If
whole.
we table it, who's going to clean? We have no one to.
Well, it would have been nice if they did ask, because it puts us in a little bit of a predicament here to where we're kind of forced to say, hey, if they do table it, because we often table things, I don't like being put in a position like this to where, oh, hey, you have to vote on it.
And the numbers are out there now, too.
The other thing is what transpired, as soon as we did get this notification though, we passed this on to Nancy Gin right away, so we did get it posted right away. But I did personally call companies, I emailed companies. I was really expecting that we would get a lot better response than what we did. And where I called was Lucas County and Monroe County were the two areas that I focused. And commercial cleaners, I have no clue how this guy in Detroit seen the post, maybe he did. So that was one of the dilemmas, because we did think we were going to get a lot more bids to come in. So we were kind of shocked when three people came in and we only got
Only one of them.
So you just didn't get responses from them?
Yeah, exactly. So I called, personally talked, said, hey, we have a contract that's going out. Please go to our website. I also went to commercial cleaning companies in terms where you can email them for quotes and so on. So I would kick in there and say, hey, we have this contract. Please go out. If you have questions, here it is. So we started that right away.
And that's what two of the people who came and did the walkthrough, that's who they were. One of them was Jana King, which is a nationwide company that has franchises. And I can't remember off the top of my head who the other one was, but two of the people who did walkthroughs are big companies that have local franchise places, but we didn't get bids from them.
Did you find out at all why? Is it night shift? I would think a lot of companies are set
I think
up,
most of the
for night
cleaning they
shift,
do is
but
after hours.
Yeah.
That's what they do. If you're cleaning businesses, you're cleaning after hours.
Right.
It just kind of perplexes me why we wouldn't get a better response, especially with you seeming
Exactly.
like you're being active with it.
I was kind of shocked myself, because I thought, well, we'll probably get like 6, 7, 8 bids in terms of that industry. And then
I can tell you probably part of the problem is it's just like any other business out there. Getting people to work, period. And it's not a high-paying job. This is really more of a supplemental, part-time job. And unless that's exactly what somebody's looking for, a lot of companies don't have the manpower to take it on.
Right, and that's what we discussed that at the last meeting. It's like, well, maybe it's just like what you're saying, Rick, is that, okay, if they have to get somebody and pay them $12 or $13 an hour to come work at night, is this account really profitable for them to come to?
Yeah.
And then if, so we did discuss
Well,
that.
it does make me feel better knowing that you really went after a lot of companies in Toledo and Lucas,
Yeah,
all
because
the areas.
that's where we got this guy in Monroe, and I had a discussion with him, and he says, okay, I'm going to go right away and look, and he did. The other thing that we looked at, too, is like, should we hire somebody? And we kind of looked at that and said, okay, well, would we have to hire somebody full-time? Now we're getting into benefits and everything else, because, some companies do hire a full-time maintenance person to take care of a building, but then
Well, and then if it's part-time and you have night shift and they're sick, then you got issues there.
and then who we're getting. So we kind of struggled too, because we weren't given real quick notice. We didn't have 2 or 3 months to really, correct, Jody, that we could sit there and say, okay, hey, we didn't like what we got on this round of bids. All right, let's go look at something else, or let's get it back out there.
What about the students that come from the school every day? We can make them clean instead of playing.
Yeah, we'll tell them to grab a mop when they come in.
Did they do it with a game controller?
Yeah, exactly. Or like my grandson says, why don't you buy one of those robots?
Anybody have any further questions?
No.
Okay, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion. I will state that I'm not happy that it did come to us so quickly, and we're going to be put out to dry here shortly. That we do accept the R&J cleaning services at the new revised rate as presented by Jody Russ, the $38.70 per month, and as Jody stated, the paper products and items like that will remain the responsibility of the library.
I'll second with a friendly amendment, because we're going to need this. that we amend the budget as needed to cover the expenses. And that'll come out of the library fund balance.
Absolutely.
And that it's $3,870.
Yeah, I did mention that.
Yeah.
You said 30,
I said the
70.
reduced amount of 3870.
I know. Some people might take it as $38.70. Want to be clear. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 5-0. Okay. Item 8C, approve the purchase of tables for park community centers.
Good evening. Andrew Burnett with the Park Commission. Just wanted to basically go over these with you so you had an idea of what was going on. I know it was presented about a month and a half back and was very unorganized and not thorough, so wanted to go over with you. As a Park Commission, we've been looking at upgrading the Car Park Hall and the Samaria Hall. We've done painting throughout the inside of both facilities. We had both of the floors in the facilities resealed. They're our main source of revenue outside of the pavilions itself, and they're something we've been trying to improve upon with how much they are booked up and how much they do bring in. We've had multiple complaints at both facilities for the tables in the current condition. They're the standard kind of plastic tables that are warped. Drinks don't even sit on them, flush. If you go into the halls and actually look at them, they're dilapidated, they need replaced. With that, we were upgrading to a more sturdy, a more long-term banquet style table, a wood style. When these were presented a month and a half back, we had one quote that way and others were the standard plastic tables. There was a huge variance in pricing and so forth. As a Park Commission, we did approve and are sticking to the Toledo tent bid that we did originally get that they updated for me, and no changes were made to pricing or anything. It includes keeping the tables the same way they are now at Samaria, the round style, 72-inch round style, and then the hall at Car Park is the rectangular style tables. We're doing 10 of each style table for each hall. Trudy and Angie did find finally some other quotes of same style and similar tables. I had called around. The only other places that I could find through all my research and going was like restaurantweb.com and different supply online sources where you needed to create a business account to get a quote and do some things. One they found in Salina, Ohio, I believe actually to go over our approved one, it was at $420 a table for the round style, $320 a table for the rectangular style. So going into what they had found recently and just giving you an idea, out of Salina, they were at roughly $260 a table for the round style, so about 180 less. You're at 140 a table for the rectangular. I don't know the type of finish that's on these. I don't know availability. It says they're in stock when quoted, but that can change. I know Toledo Tent actually does have them in the warehouse as we speak, and we'd be able to get them immediately. Before they were about a 2-month wait out. Selena's, that's where theirs was. Another one, it was kind of a bundle package. We did look at these. We even found them on Amazon where you get, 10 of the same style. None of these types of things that anybody actually was able to speak with said they were in stock or had any idea when. So it's a matter of looking and waiting. And then if you get all the way down to MTS tables, the same exact styles, you're talking upwards of $535 for the standard table, rectangular, $687, rounded up $690 a table for the round style. So we're kind of approving what's in the middle of the road, what I know is in stock. They are lacquer finished. They're a sturdy, this is what Toledo Tent uses. They don't generally sell their tables. They don't usually do this. I told them our scenario and situation, what I was running into, and this is basically the same exact tables that they use with their rental company. They're just, or they ordered in 10 of each style more that they are then selling to us and are willing to deliver to us. The shipping and freight fee is not for them delivering it to us to our halls from Oregon, Ohio. It is actually because it's coming direct from their manufacturer. They purchase the tables to be built and sent to them from, I believe he said it was out of Oklahoma. So that's where that shipping and freight fee is from. It's not from Oregon, Ohio to delivering to each hall up here. Outside of that, any questions you guys have, any specifics, any details you need?
So you're just concerned about availability for Selena?
Selena, I honestly have not spoken with. This was one that Trudy did find and had emailed over to us just to kind of get a like-kind style. I have no idea. I did not speak with Selena, so I don't know if
Is
Trudy
this
can
likable?
speak on it or if Angie.
Based on what Andrew told us, the tables were the solid wood, the light walnut. That's what we, yeah, that's what we found.
That's what you found. So it's the same table.
Well, I can't say it's exactly the same table, but same like, I guess.
Okay. I mean, my model is always, what would I do in my own home? I would go for the best price. But if they don't have them.
Generally, I agree. I haven't spoken with Selena. I can't really speak
what I
on
mean.
it.
It would be hard for me to vote on.
If it's the
the
same
other one.
exact style table, I've been at plenty of weddings that use Toledo tent tables. I know they're great tables.
Mm-hmm.
These are obviously going to be new, not ones that have been used at over hundreds of events. So they're great, solid tables. They're not going to warp and deteriorate like the ones we have in the hall that need desperate replacement.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we stand as a board and why we approved this one. I know, like I said, I spoke with him about a week and a half ago, and they actually do have them. There was miscommunication or misunderstanding on his end when us as a park commission approved them, that he thought it was under a full approval, and so he ordered them already when it was normally about an 8-week window of wait time. They're already in stock over there. They have them for us if we want them. So that's kind of where it stands.
Okay. Mr. Steiner?
So I see the events table, that's Cerritos, California. I don't see any shipping on that one. Total was 37, but that includes tax, which tax exempt would come out of there. So I can only imagine what the shipping would be.
Exactly.
Had coming out of Cerritos, California.
And a lot of bidding that I ran into or trying to find pricing, when you go to the online ones, you can get a general idea of a quote. It's nothing specific and finalized until you actually create the business account, have the credit card on file, and do all of those pieces to it, where obviously us as a park commission did not take the approach to do.
Yeah. Of course, Selena, now that one, a little bit closer in line. They do have the shipping and handling in there. I don't know, I'll finish and then let Trudy jump in since she got these. What kind of availability these guys have. The one thing that does concern me is, and I don't know if anybody at this board even has an answer, of how old the tables are that are currently in the parks. They've got to be pretty darn old. I know they're plastic. Some of the products have improved with some heavy duty I don't even call them plastic tables anymore. I don't even remember the exact term. But I've got one myself. It's an 8-foot, if you want to call it plastic, and that is one heavy table. My concern is a lot of the people that are using these parks picking up and moving these 72-inch round wooden tables. That's not an easy task for a lot of people.
Tables were weighted at 75 pounds, which is actually less weight than the current tables in the hall.
75 pounds?
Per Toledo tent and speaking with him.
Well, that doesn't seem like much of a table at 75 pounds for wood.
Mr. Montroy?
So I had talked to Mr. Bernat at the trade fair, because the trade fair was recently after, I think, the last time this had came through, and it just kind of died. I forget exactly what had happened. And he was at the trade fair, so I was asking him about the situation, and what I got was the purpose of you're replacing this old dilapidated gear that's at the parks, and I think availability was one of the things, but like actually having good, sturdy, long-lasting tables to be at these parks. I don't know if they have how long they would expect these to last. If they're built to be doing graduation parties and weddings, and I feel like they're getting what they're using the rentals are getting beat up much more than they would ever possibly get beat up being at the parks.
They're being shipped back and forth
Yeah.
around too, when they're sitting in our halls.
So I don't know if they give a lifespan on what they would expect. I do a lot of, in my line of work, I do a lot of supplies and equipment sales, and nothing is the same as anything. Like, there are not two items that are alike. Now, how I see how this decision needs to be made is we don't know the Selena tent quality, I guess, and the question is it $2,000 to $3,000 differential quality difference, and which is going to be life expectancy is how I see it. It'll be how long are these going to last? Because it's not the cheapest price; it's what's the lowest cost. Because if you hit, which obviously that's going to get played out over how many years, but
what we should do is buy Costco tables that are a lifetime warranty and the chairs.
well,
Cheaper when they're junk.
Put it on the agenda.
Put them back.
You should have had it on the agenda, probably.
I didn't put it out for bid. Come with one bid.
So that's my thought. Now, I guess we just don't know, because I wouldn't say it's possible unless you know they're the same tables. You cannot assume they're the same tables with that price, with the price differential. Most things out in the marketplace are not more expensive. The cheaper items are more often cheaper. There's a reason that they're cheaper.
So why don't we table it and have the park board call the companies, find out the shipping rates, and find out if they're the like somehow.
Selena, I can tell you, is solid plywood.
Solid plywood?
I mean,
Yeah,
Pretty
these
sure
are not
that's what they
plywood.
use.
Yeah,
I'm
these
not-
are.
And I can tell you direct from my interpretation of it, because I'm the one who has spent multiple hours during my work days doing the research behind these, that if these fall through, it's an absolute appalling movement to the renters of these facilities that are currently using the tables we have with the amount of complaints we've had. These two halls together bring in about $25,000 in revenue per year, and we're on pace to well exceed that this year, that the cost justification is there to have new tables in place and for the reasoning for these upgrades for the halls. I will not be spending any further time on these tables personally, if we're ever going to look to have them replaced at these halls, so.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to bring 3 bids too, and we've got 1 bid, and the 2 came last minute. I mean, it's not like there's one tent and table company in
There were
America.
multiple bids found, nothing of an exact like kind, as Mr. Montry made claim to. I don't know who Selena is. I don't know how you found them. I'm glad you did, because I've spent multiple hours Googling and trying to find places. So thank you for finding them. I don't know who they are.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Real quick. You have one?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh. Under the Toledo tent and party, it says light walnut stain included, clear coat included. Does that mean it's included for you to do it, or?
No, they have already,
Okay,
they are
'cause
shipped
it
into them from
looks like
Oklahoma
you have to do it.
unfinished. They then put the stain color finish, and then they actually acrylic seal them, which those are included of them completing. It doesn't come that way from the manufacturer to them.
Ms. Keene, it's not public comment. You got to keep it down until it's time to public comment. Yep. I know, but we can hear you with your conversations. So keep them down. Thank you.
I don't know the Selena company either. All I can tell you is that it's 13 ply AC plywood top. I have no idea what that means.
I don't know.
But again, I can't tell you what Toledo tents are because they don't have a description either. And that's what I went by. When you said there were wood tables, I looked for wood tables that
Right.
were
I don't
finished
know the
just like
specific
these
spec
and-
of them. I know of them from seeing them in person multiple.
So I just looked for heavy-duty wood tables that would kind of be comparable to what
Right.
Toledo 10 had. So this is what we came up with, besides all the ones that, yeah, we came across the ones that you had to set up accounts to get any information on,
Right.
which we didn't want to do.
Same on our end.
Do we have a motion?
I'm just trying to consider life expectancy.
Well, there's a lot to consider that we don't know.
We can't do life expectancy. I know there's warranties. I don't know what Toledo tent.
I mean, the
If
bottom
one
line is
lasts 30 years
it's like,
and one lasts 10 years, that tells you your answer.
Right.
Like that's your
why
answer.
it's
It's not any cheaper. If the one only lasts 10 years and the other one lasts 30 years, you
if we
didn't
had
save
that
any money 'cause
information
you're gonna have to
today,
buy 'em
right
twice.
now, it would be an easy
times.
answer. It would be an easy vote right now. I think
What?
that if we had that information, that we'd already be voting.
The other thing too, when you talk about the life expectancy of a table, one high quality, one low quality, I can buy something cheap, but if I take care of it, it might last me 30 years. If you put it in a building and
You're not going to take care of it.
in the park, some might take care of it, some might not. So
Yeah, we just have to assume they're not going to get taken care of.
gotta
They're going to
that's
get
my
beat up.
assumption that they're not.
Yeah.
So.
Going off the history of knowing Toledo Tent, like Mr. Montre had pointed to, they go through a lot of abuse for their rentals. They deliver them to outdoor tents. They ship them for every single event. These, for us, will be kept in storage in the hall and not shipped for every single event. I mean, that's about the speaking point of that I got.
I just want to add that we've spent a lot of time on this already. We've got the money in the account. Let's buy the tables. Let's get them out there so that people can use the nice tables right now, and let's not spend any more time arguing about this and discussing it.
You,
I mean,
you have this in your budget?
we've got the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you guys have it in your budget,
We got it
I'll
in our
make a
budget.
motion.
Yeah, but Carol, you have to understand when something comes to us, we can't just do it because we're being
I
told to
get
do
it.
it. It's at our table
We
to
just
make
want to
an
get it
informed
out
decision
there.
on the public and use taxpayer dollars
I get
as
it.
appropriate.
we just
And when
wanna
you
get
could
it out
save
there for the
$3,000
Public to use.
and get, you know,
You know.
That's the question. Are you saving 3,000 though?
are you saving them? Well, there's
Might-
not
it
enough
might not be
information.
with longevity. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the tables for the Park Community Center from Toledo Tent as presented.
Do we have a support? Okay, motion failed.
Motion failed.
Okay.
Does anyone else want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we table it, and if you guys don't want to deal with it, Al and I will bring it to our next agenda and get a bunch of bids and have a bunch of information and make an informed decision. So I'll make a motion, we table it.
Second.
Okay, motion supported. Okay, let's call the,
Who supported?
Mr. Steiner. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek? Mr. Montroy?
Nay.
Ms. Berger votes aye.
Motion passed 4-1.
I'm just waiting for D now.
Okay.
Hanging out for it.
Item 8D, approve a quote for field grading at Card Park.
Yep, so going on this one then, as during public comment was spoken, the Bedford Black Ops baseball program that is on the lease at the Car Park Field did the legwork for us as a park commission. They went out and acquired these 3 bids for the field grading and upgrade. They did an extensive amount of infield work, putting in the base paths, actually putting in the base plugs, and then re-topping the field with safe slide. 'Cause when they did that and they brought everything back and had it raked, the field originally was designed for like high school level with about a 200-foot outfield, which makes absolutely no sense. They use it, I believe, 8U through 11U is on that field, which is that field is designed for. With that said, the original infield that was put in years back is so far extended that it's created basically a divot and a whoop, and they didn't replace all of that. That's where we need to actually have grass grown in to make that true outfield. So as part of this bid is doing that, as well as from that back portion of the infield out into the outfield of left field, closer to the playground and area itself. It's a significant slope and drop off, and that would be part of leveling all this, reseeding, and then include 4 applications to get the grass to grow in. They would be taking this on, looking to have it done in the fall after the season, when it is ideal to do this, not during the summer. Basing off of their discussion with them and then looking at the 3 bids, the Park Commission approved the Brighton Landscape quote to have this completed. That's the information I got on it.
Comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, I look for a motion.
I have my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Mr. Steiner?
On the paper, too. Just a quick question.
Yep.
Obviously, Brighton is the lowest cost out of here. Now, when would they start this if it's approved?
Last I had spoken between Black Ops and with Brighton was going to be in the fall, late September.
Okay, because that was my question, because if you do it now,
It
not going to be
it
very
won't
good.
take seed, it won't grow. They're using the field through their season, I think through August.
Okay.
Is your scheduled season, so post them completing is when the Brighton would look to come in the fall to start. I believe it's the fall fertilizer application would go down in the fall. The other 3 are actually for next spring then. To help it germinate and actually grow in before the season begins.
And I know that it's probably going to be a hydro seed.
Correct.
More than anything. And, I mean, would they agree, let's just say that there's some spots that, when they do hydro seed, sometimes they get a bad flow and don't get much seed down. Will they come back and spot fill if they
I
have
to speak with Brighton on it. I can't answer a question.
I mean,
I don't know their
that's my only.
If it doesn't get watered, it'll just turn to weeds.
And that's the other thing too is, spot filling, plus if we don't get rain, it's going to be tough.
So, I mean,
That's why I'm not looking to do it.
Have you looked to see where the sprinkler system is currently at and where it ends?
Don't believe it extends out beyond into that.
It would be something to look at, to extend the sprinklers out there, or at least
Potentially. I'm not trying to open that can of worms with baseball diamonds when there's 16 other diamonds we have. I'm trying to get them leveled and graded to where if this goes through, I know we're going to hear from 3B at White Park for the berm on the back of all of their infields. We should hear from Bedford Select that has upgraded Samaria and Parmalee Park fields. This is a quote for one single field out of a system of 16 fields. So, sure, if you want to extend sprinkler systems.
Have you guys looked into quoting out all the fields?
We have not. We're doing this basically within our budget and agreeing to this based on the work that Black Ops has done at the field by bringing the slide safe themselves, raising the funds themselves, with plans to put in dugouts at that field. They're putting in the work to upgrade the field per the contract lease agreement. So we're doing our part to upgrade it and go. We've spoken with 3B, and they have plans as well to bring attention something like this and getting quoted for it. We haven't seen it yet. Like I said, they did the legwork and went out and got these quotes and met with the companies and did that part of it. We didn't have to do that out of our time, which we appreciated. So I'm bringing it to the table for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, we could always run a hose and a sprinkler out there too,
Are you guys maintenance guys trained in hoses?
Real funny, Craig. Sure.
You got the quotes and everything, so it's not necessarily public comment.
Yeah, come on up.
It's one of the coaches for Black Ops.
Bob, the 8U coach, is the one who got the quotes, but we are asking all our players, we're charging them an extra $100 a head next year. That's an extra $4,400 going towards the field. We would love to put in a fence. We would love to do the upkeep on the field and claim it as Black Ops, just like Bedford Select has their field and Bedford Baseball Club has their field. We would love to step in and help out as much as possible. We would love to do dugouts. We would love to rake the field. We would love to, I mean, obviously we probably can't water the field if there was some help there, but upkeep, we are 100% want to be responsible and help out as much as we can. We don't want to stop at the 4,400. We want to fundraise again. We fundraised the 4,000 for the slide safe. We did parents and coaches and put the field in ourselves, and we've gotten quotes. We just want to make sure you guys know how much we care about the park, and we care about bringing these kids up through Black Ops, just like Bedford Select. I believe they have great fields. I think if you look at them all, Carr is probably the least kept, and we want to take charge. So we just want you to know how important it is to us, and we're not done fundraising. We're just asking for a little bit of help to kick it in gear, and next year we plan on fundraising more and contributing on top of the 4,400 we're going to bring with the $100 per head per kid, which is 11 kids per team. Thank you.
I'm all for it. But for me, just looking, as a non-park board member, as a township board, I go to the parks and I see falling down shelter houses. I see drinking fountains that aren't even working or turned on. I can go on and on of the things that need to be fixed and replaced. You know what I mean? So
Understood.
To me, this is low priority to me.
I know.
But I just wish some of these other things were coming before us and getting done.
I just know there's a lot of kids.
Oh, I know,
communities,
and I'm all for it. I think we should take better care of our fields. So there's just a lot within our parks that need to be maintained and taken care of that are not being maintained and taken care of.
Understand. Well, we hope you guys understand. We thank you for listening to us. Thank you for anything you can do for us.
Okay. Any more comments or questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Andrew, when will the new contracts be signed with all of the teams?
I have no idea. That's on Chaz's basically creating that as a whole. He took over all of that piece of it.
Okay.
I know the last we were working with the lawyer to get a contract basically made for us to be able to fill in for each separate entity. I have no idea where that stands.
Okay.
Do other teams use these fields at all, or is it strictly just the teams that have the fields?
In general, from what I've seen, no. We've had Lady Mules has basically, they usually work, well, I know last year they worked with Black Ops, they worked with Bedford Select, and they worked extremely big with 3B, managing all the schedules to where they can get fields to at least practice and then certain games on. I know they've made a big partnership with 3B this year to specifically for an individual field there that's solely Lady Mules. And when we had Indian Creek Park, that was a discussion and uptake, but that is now the schools. So those are fields there that they are looking at upgrading and doing. It's just.
And keep in mind, I played ball my whole life in Bedford. I love 3B. I love the organizations, but I also get the complaints too that this is a public park and a certain team has sole authority over a public funded park. And I get you guys are sticking money into it. I get all that, but it still doesn't take away the fact that our public can't use it. You know what I'm saying? So it is.
And per our contracts, the fields are still public fields. If somebody wants to go use them, they can. They can't put a lock on that field and block it out. They provide us with a schedule in which we post that schedule, so the public is aware of when they do have scheduled games and practices, to try to alleviate some of that. Or if a random team is looking to show up and go, I don't know of any just thrown together teams that are that way. Everything in this day and age within Bedford and the community is organized operations of multiple teams within the Bedford Black Ops, within Bedford Select, within 3B. If somebody's looking to play on an organized team, they join 3B if they're not joining a private club.
I'm not totally opposed to the way you have it set up. It's just,
Right.
It's a difficult situation, Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a quote for field grading at Card Park as presented through Brighton Lawn Care. I don't know if I need to add that it's $5,000 less than half the cost of the other bids, but I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion supported by Ms. Janizek. Any more discussion?
Can we add the amount as a friendly amendment?
Yes, $9,440.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, could you call the roll?
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner? Richburger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed.
Thank you.
5-0.
Thank you.
Yep. So next is 8E, approval to close the township building on July 3rd, 2023. I don't know how it became my agenda item, but I was asked about it, and somehow here it is. But I do agree with what's said here. You know, it is extremely slow when you have a working day in between a holiday on a Monday. I think it's a good opportunity to bless the employees when we can. Not saying nobody's going to come in here and do nothing, because a lot of our departments have work to do if there's people in the building or not. So it's up to the board.
I'll just give my my view on it overall, and then kind of let that go where it may. So I view it from two different angles. The first of which being most regular jobs, I'll be working on Monday and Tuesday. Most places will be running, and it's like, yeah, you get Tuesday off, and it is what it is. There's a lot of government employees get a lot of other days off that a lot of other people don't. But I do understand the 4-day weekend and celebrating the holiday. I think 4th of July and Christmas are what I view as like those are our American holidays that I almost wish we would all slow down and shut down a little bit more through both of those times of the year, and be able to relax a little bit more and spend time with your families and all of that kind of stuff. But I still have the other side of me that views it's also, I would think, do the people who want the time off, do they not have personal days, vacation days, whatever have you, to be able to take, if you want to take the day off. If I wanted to take Monday off, 4th of July, Monday, I would just use a personal day, and I have to strategically use those days to split up how I want to spend my vacation time. So I think I've decided that I'm going to vote against this one way or the other, unless I can be convinced otherwise. But that's my view on the whole thing, that I understand it, and I'm not.
That probably could be an
against
option to where we just require the employees to take, a vacation day.
That's what we did in the past. They were all agreeable to it.
Everyone just
Everybody
uses
has
a
to
day.
use the day.
I would see that as a, if that was within the motion, I think I would support that.
The last
Mr.
time,
Steiner?
I think it fell on a Thursday, and we asked them if they wanted it closed Friday, would they all be willing to use a personal or vacation day or something, and they all agreed to that.
I guess I also don't know, is that for the residents and for people trying to take care of business, I assume it's a slow day, but is there anything to be considered for having the township open, that it is going to be closed Tuesday as well for anyone who would need to do anything? That's my other thought that I guess I don't know the answer to.
Either you open or you close. It's too tough to try to figure out.
Yeah, and it is very slow, and like especially in my department, and everything trickles into my department.
You guys are all just sitting around twiddling your thumbs?
No, we're not twiddling our thumbs. But what I'm saying is,
Ooh, you better watch it, Craig.
what I'm saying is the incoming traffic of residents is a lot slower than. No, my girls do not.
I know.
Their thumbs.
I know. That's how I just.
I can feel the heat coming off of her
You're
right
making
now.
an argument one way.
I know.
I got to see which way it's going.
Mr. Steiner.
I was going along similar lines too, and I was just, right away, I was going to say, I wouldn't be opposed as long as it was a vacation day or whatever day they have to take. Again, it's not going to be every year either, because it's not going to fall the holiday on the Tuesday every year. It's going to move, so this is a one-time thing, and I think taking a vacation day would be would be wise if we decide to close.
All right. Somebody want to make the motion with that added in it?
It's your agenda item.
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion. No heat, Krista.
Huh?
Don't give me any heat.
I won't.
No, I'll make the motion that we approve to close on Monday, July 3rd, to celebrate a 4-day weekend for the 4th of July holiday, and with the stipulation that anyone that's taking that day, of course, would be required to take a vacation day for that particular day.
It'd be vacation, personal. Do you care what?
If they've got paid time, let's put it that. If they've got a paid time day that they can use, let's call it that.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, motion support of Ms. Januzak. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Schreier votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. Okay. Comments from the public? Comments limited to 2 minutes. Come on up.
Trudy, you had mentioned that we could do a vote for Bedford Drive through the mail, and they would have to send in a vote. Could we do that, and how would we make it happen?
I said that wouldn't be possible.
How could we make the Bedford Drive be voted for again?
It's done. It's done.
Okay, well, what is my stance since I have 2 lots? What's the vote for that?
You were considered in the percentage. Both of your lots were considered in the percentage.
You had two.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
You want me to answer now?
Just answer now. It's
You had
been a
2
tough
lots.
meeting because when we have a lot of new people,
Mm-hmm.
we have certain rules in place that we try to follow, but we also understand it's difficult. So
So if you had 2 separate lots, that was 2 separate votes. So if you didn't sign, that's 2 no's.
Can the amount that we're paying be discussed?
No, that's set in by the engineers. They're the ones who give us that estimate. And then when the job is finally completed, then we'll have the final figures. But if the bids come in higher than 10%, that would cancel the job and we would have to start over.
How do we cancel the job?
You can't unless the bids come in over 10% higher than what the estimate is.
I don't understand what a bid is.
So when the project goes to Monroe County Road Commission, it's their project, they own the roads, they will bid your project out to be paved. If those bids come in higher than 10% of what that estimate is, then the project would kill the project because it's higher than what the estimate was.
Okay. All right.
if you'd like to stick around after the meeting, I can talk to you a little more, or Trudy can as well. Okay, seeing no more comments. Are you coming? Okay, well, let's go on. You know the deal here.
Well, I thought maybe you wanted to yell at me first.
Oh. Okay.
Gail
Nope.
Kane, 105.6 West Temperance. Well, some of the negative impacts on these roads could be alleviated if the state would pass an impact fee on the developers. Secondly, past comments, no intent to purposefully spread misinformation. To avoid this, the board needs to publicly try to clear things up as soon as possible, if not reach out to people who have had voiced concerns. My point regarding the points was clearly displayed tonight, and it's really sad. It really is sad. Lastly, at the last meeting, and you guys get to make your comments after we get up here, so we become attacked or criticized or whatever. There was a comment made about the tavern. There was no full disclosure and no due diligence practiced in that aspect. If it hadn't been for the actions of several, not just one, not just two, but several residents, the issues in regards to that roundabout would have just been kept behind closed doors. So that's the concern. It's just, I don't know. I'm really uncertain with what this board is doing, why residents are attacked, were criticized. We're back to the time when, we can't even get together as committees, can't even get along together. So, and I believe there was some organization you guys were putting together to help residents pay for these roads. So I'm hoping that that is something that's offered to them. There was funding you were going to use to help these people if they needed
That's
loans.
for SADs.
Okay.
That's for SADs so they don't have
that
to bond.
the road's not
So they
an
don't have to
SAD?
bond.
Is this an SAD?
Yes.
I can speak to it in
Okay.
my comments.
Any more comments from the public? Okay. Come on up. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Mr. Steiner? Or wait. Is that another one? Oh, shoot. Got it written down right here, too.
Thank you for giving me just a little bit of time. I won't take too much tonight. Just wanted to put out that we are having our Fire Department Explorer Post is having their recruitment night this Sunday, the 25th, at 5 p.m. That's at Station 1 at 1106 West Temperance. This post has been in existence. This board has kept this post in existence for 40 years. So it's a very big recruiting opportunity, both for Bedford Township and the surrounding areas. The other thing I did want to mention is we still do have the burning ban in effect. We are looking at that every Monday. Right now we are in a very high hazard for fire. So we are still monitoring that. We are looking at that. We will try and get that off as soon as possible. The only thing I do ask is if we are called out to your residents, please don't take that out on the firefighters that are coming out. That is the decision that I've been made. So please understand that if a fire department personnel shows up, ordinance, Monroe County Sheriff's Office, they are just kind of right now following the precedent that we put forward. So just to put that out there. We will be working with the fireworks this Friday. We will make sure we're going to be starting about 10 a.m. to make sure that it is going to be a safe process, even with the dry weather. So we feel that this is the largest community event that we have, and we wanted to make sure that's supported and it continues on.
I have gotten questions about the burn ban, whether people can have campfires or not. Could you just address that?
Yep, so it's all burning right now is banned. Okay. So, and that is, we had a couple weekends ago, we had 2 structures involved with a fire. Unfortunately, small fires do get big very quickly, so.
Yeah, I just wanted you to address it to the public because I am getting calls on it.
So. Yeah, so right now we're doing this just as a safety aspect. We're not, trust me, I like to burn as much stuff as I can, but we're doing it as a safety aspect just for the community.
Okay.
So, and we, like I said, we will get that off as soon as we can.
Okay, any questions for Chief? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Steiner?
Just real quick, I want to say happy birthday to a 10-year-old named Mia Rose. I'm sure she's watching, and I'm sure her big sister Annabelle is treating her just wonderfully this evening for her 10th birthday. So I just wanted to recognize that little lady that seems to be growing up, both of them as sisters, so recognize them. Also, just to reiterate the chief, we just have to be really careful when it comes to anything with fire. And I also want to bring something up, and I'm a person that is very, very careful around when it comes to fire, things like that, gas grills, etc. I almost had an unfortunate accident this weekend that I lit my grill. I bent down to open the door on the front to take some utensils out. Somehow one of the burners went, the other one was still flowing, and all of a sudden as soon as I was bent down, poof, and I got it right in the face. I'm lucky that all I got was singed hair out of it. So that's something else to be very aware of is gas grills. If they don't seem to be burning right, and Chief, you've seen it, I'm sure, with having to go to scenes that have had grill issues. If they're not burning right, they seem to be low in their flames or something, you got to check the orifices on the bottom sometimes. Spider webs get in there, especially after the winter months and things like that. Nothing to mess around with, so always be very careful and make sure if you're starting your grill, open the lid. That also helps, because if you leave the lid down and you push that button, that gas is all built up in there. So
I thought your hair seemed a little more receded.
I got a little bit there this week. But that's my PSA for the weekend. Thanks.
Mr. Montroy? I couldn't help myself, Rick.
Yeah, I'll start with saying that we don't vote on the license plate readers, that we don't have a vote on that going on in the DDA that Under Sheriff Pauly was talking about, and if we did, I would vote against it. I'd also like to, a thought that it's been in my mind that I want to talk about, and I want to start out by saying that I don't want this to come across as a chastisement or a trying to make anyone look bad, or whatever that would be. I don't want that. I don't want it to come across as a negative thing. I want it to come across as an encouragement, which is the concept of responsibility. And I think the Bedford SAD or Bedford Drive SAD is a perfect example of that. With rights, with privileges, with a claim of we the people within this country comes the responsibility to be involved in your government. It is one of the many reasons why I encourage regularly for people. You don't need to make every meeting, but if you come to one meeting one meeting a year, you have a clue what's going on, at least a little bit, so that when it does come your time and you have an issue and you want something handled, nobody was blowing past anything tonight. It was that the residents, you don't know, and it's there's a major failure throughout the whole country that people don't know, they're not involved, and you're not involved in anything. You're not being involved in your local government the way this experiment was set up. This experiment was set up for residents to be involved in their government, to watch us, to watch all legislators, and it takes a little bit of time. And I would like to encourage people to do that. There's also, like I said, I'm thinking of a lot of examples like that. I appreciate Mr. Burnett being here tonight from the Park Board. That is, he didn't have to be here, but taking the responsibility to come follow up on an agenda item from another board or committee to actually be here. And again, I don't want that to come across as like you're slamming somebody else. It is a encouragement for taking of responsibility for what is going on. I'm here tonight. I'm on vacation right now, and I just drove from Camp Machindo because I got a bunch of church kids at camp, and I'm going to clock out of here, and I'm going to go back to camp when I leave here. But I'm trying to teach kids the simple act of, no, I have a responsibility. I'm going to go take care of my responsibility, and I'm going to come back. And it's just I just see it being such a lost thing in our society, and I would like to encourage people to take responsibility. We're missing so much when we lose that. And I think I would focus on residents taking responsibility to start showing up to one meeting a year, because when it comes around and it's your thing and you feel like, I don't even know what's going on, I don't have any help, I don't whatever, and oh, there's nothing I could do, and you feel helpless and lost, you're the one that hasn't shown up, and it's not anyone else's responsibility to take care of your responsibilities. I would add to that, I was planning on congratulating Bedford Drive on passing their SAD. It's one of the worst roads in Bedford, and I'm sure Trudy and Paul are going to talk about the SAD portion of it and the reasons why and answering all those questions, so I won't go into that. But I think I see it as a positive of getting that passed and fixing a awful road in our community, and that it's finally passed, and I think that's just a great thing. So that's all I had.
Ms. Janizek?
I only have a couple things. The summer tax bills are printed, and they will be mailed out July 1st. If you have refinanced your house and you're not responsible for paying your taxes, please notify me, or if your lender has changed, please notify my office, because we want to make sure that your tax bill gets to the proper place. The other thing is, my office, we've been getting a lot of calls lately regarding filling of swimming pools and having adjustments made to your sewer bill. We do not make adjustments for filling a swimming pool, watering your grass, watering your gardens, or anything, because we have no way of knowing how much water is being used in order to do that. South County Water, they offer secondary meters for this purpose. So what I would suggest is if you're planning on filling a swimming pool, watering your grass, gardens, or anything, contact them to have a secondary meter installed. They will be able to tell you anything that you need to know about those meters. That's all I have.
Trudy, just something I want you to touch on. I felt like tonight, SAD, there were people here ready for this to be an educational time. And some, not saying all, but of some people, and I was thrown off by that, because when it gets to this point, it's time to vote. Everybody has an understanding. There's some people happy, there's some people upset, but everybody's clear. And I was thrown off because, you know, we're getting asked all these questions that are typically, they're answered in the first educational meeting. And that's kind of why I stopped it, because I felt like it's like, were we going to stop going back? We're bantering. It isn't a time. The SAD passed. And like you said, with pulling people's name off, even in the one lady, it still passed. So very frustrating, the SAD. I don't know if, you know, I guess I was just frustrated how the people didn't understand fully where we were at this point. You know,
I didn't do anything different.
Yeah.
I did this one the same as I've done all the rest of them. All the letters went out, the informational meeting was held. Actually, I was very surprised at the informational meeting. The ones that did attend were very receptive of the cost and the work and everything, and there weren't too many questions. A couple concerns that were mentioned that they would like to be looked at, but other than that, so I was a little thrown off too. I've had people coming in and out of the township since I sent the letter out saying you have, you know, you can take your name off, add your name on. We've had 6 people take off, but then we've had, I think, 8 come on. So it's been back and forth.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to.
No, I mean, I'm a little torn by this one too, because it was a lot different than normal. So if you want to stay after the meeting, I can try and answer more questions for the SAD portion. What Gail was trying to say, SAD amounts, we fund them within so that we can keep bonding costs down and interest costs down. So it will be done within house, just like we have the past ones. We have the money, we can fund this and keep the interest costs down. With that said, the information I sent out with the pricing, that is the pricing based on a 4% interest rate. If the interest rates go down by next year when this project will be collected, it won't be collected this year because this project won't even be done till next year. So nothing will happen this year as far as money. But if the interest rate goes down, then we would, of course, knock it down. But we figure 4% right now is a good starting point. I don't foresee it going up. I foresee it coming down, if anything. So now the Township Hall will be closed on July 3rd and 4th. So the next Township Board meeting will be held on July 11th. I will need agenda items for the July meeting by July 5th at noon. Since Todd's not here, I'll remind everyone fireworks are this Friday, June 23rd at dusk. If it happens to rain, then they will be Saturday, June 24th. And that's all I have.
Okay. I was very impressed with the master plan that the park board presented tonight. I thought it was well thought out, well planned. the master plan just isn't a guide, but it's also a tool, when they go after grants. If they don't have a current master plan in place, they can't even apply for most grants. So I'm very thankful that they have that updated and in place. So for future park boards as well, they can, have that to utilize. Ms. Keen's, touched on the relationship with the park board. It has been a very difficult run with the park board since this term. A lot of changes were made in the beginning. So it was a learning curve for the park board as well. When you have a board and we've said this all along, if every single one of us got unelected, it would be a very difficult run for a few years for a new board. And that's pretty much what you had with this park board, other than Carol, and she replaced somebody for a year, so she didn't have a lot of experience. So you have a whole group of people coming in that I don't believe any of them got trained and did the training, and with no government experience. Don't understand the policies, the procedures, and how everything goes. It was very, very difficult. And so we want what's best for the parks. We want to work with the park board. We want to see things get done. So I would encourage the park board to not get frustrated, to just pick up the phone and call me. I'd love to meet and sit down and see how we can work together to get as much done as we can in the next year and a half. I've heard too tonight, we're just negative with the residents. Very, very few people say that. You come to every board meeting, Ms. Keen, and I would encourage you to just be positive. Every single one of these board members is willing to work with you, willing to meet with you, willing to go hand in hand and get what we can do in this township done. But you got to do those. You got to be willing to work with us and not just send emails that are negative and condescending. We need to be able to work together. So let's work together. Are you willing to do that, Ms. Keen? Are you willing to work together?
Are you willing to not have to have it your way all the time?
It's been 14 years. We've never sat down together. Okay, let's sit down together and try to work together. Okay. All I'm saying is my hand's out. Let's work together. Doesn't need to be negative and the same path. So change can happen. You just got to be willing to sit down. I'm excited for the fireworks this Friday. It's such a positive event in our community. A lot of people come out. I would encourage people within the event to hang for a few after the event, because it can be very difficult leaving the event and traffic is backed up for quite some time. So, let it ease its way out if you can. And I know the 3B's throwing on a pretty cool event over at White Park. So if you're interested, they have a lot of free events and games and giveaways over at White Park. So if you don't want to deal with the traffic, head over to White Park. What's that?
That's where the traffic is going to be at.
The traffic will be at White Park.
Everybody knows too, just to kind of make it public.
Come up to the microphone if you want to say something on that real quick.
I was going to comment on it. For the fireworks this Friday, a lot of the questions we've run into, the fireworks this year is just like 2 years ago. It's being launched from behind the YMCA, kind of back of Indian Creek Park, due to the stadium construction. So you can still see the show from the high school parking lot, but food trucks, everything we have planned and everything is going to be through Indian Creek, basically entering by the bus garage there. Between Indian Creek probably being packed like it was 2 years ago and 3B with White Park, this is what we discussed at our safety meeting Monday with the sheriff's department and the fire department was there. They're looking at potential traffic control being between White Park, Indian Creek, and then having one officer over for the high school stadium.
So go to White Park now to state your spot.
Right. So yeah, honestly, 3B's event last year was the first they had done it. The fireworks were at the community stadium. It was packed over there, and the fireworks were at the other side of the woods location. With them being on that side this year, where you can see the majority of the show, we expect White Park and Indian Creek just to be packed. Weather pending, but it looks good as of now.
Yeah.
As far as I know from schools, the parking lot will be open. The food trucks won't be parked over there. We won't have anything in regards to the high
You
school.
see the big
parking
ones,
lot,
but you won't see a lot of the smaller fireworks.
the lower level shells, like the 3-inch and 4-inch, they usually don't cross over the tree line. So you still see the majority of it. Forest View, I know you can see it. It's that whole range is probably going to be really busy with traffic post show.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you. So I've been getting calls. The park at the DDA, the Downtown Development Authority, that was discussed a little bit because it brought up the road being done. Basically, a lot of people don't realize the DDA is an authority funded by tax capture. From the church to Kroger's to Aspen Grove to the Taco Bell to Tractor Supply, that whole little circumference, the taxes get captured and those monies are used to maintain and take care of that area and do the different things like was approved, for Flock. That's the camera system. And we maintain the Pearl Evergreen Park over there. The Kroger owns the property, but we have an agreement to maintain it. So we've been doing a lot of work on that park to get it back to looking great. Our pumps have been broken for a while, and we really tried to do our due diligence and be frugal about it because some of the pumps were $18,000. And so we took our time to see if we could get them rebuilt, and we weren't successful with that. So we had to get some newer pumps, and we were able to find them both for under $6,000. So I did call the board earlier this week to let them know that I was going to be moving on getting our Jake fixed. It's our tractor with 15-foot cutting decks. It's a very expensive machine, roughly $140,000 for a new machine. The motor blew on it. Without that motor or that Jake, it's very difficult to keep up on our larger parks. So we ended up, through the grace of God, finding 2 Jakes that the school system had retired, but one of the motors was still good in it. So we bought both Jakes from them in the amount of $2,500. I talked them down for $3,000. Got a little bit of a better deal, but and we took one of the motors and put it into the Jake. Buck and Nobby's installing it now. Was done yesterday. The gearbox. So basically, we have a Jake that's like totally refurbished. Should last us 20 more years if it's maintained the way it always has been maintained. So we kept our $140,000 machine up and running for under $10,000. So, and I'm thankful that it worked out because we would have had to have bought 3, 60-inch decks to keep up with replacing it. So, other than that, the Green Initiative Committee planted a tree out front to help Michigan Department of Natural Resources plant 50 million trees in the state of Michigan. So thankful for the Green Initiatives Committee and the work they do. Thankful for all of our committees. Little disappointed with the library situation, but in government it's all slow and it's tough to get bids. And when you only have a 2-month window, it's hard on everybody. So I understand the situation. But other than that, anybody else have anything they'd like to say or add? Mr. Graham?
No, thank you.
All right. Motion to adjourn? Okay, adjourned.